So in the 6 or 7 months we've been on board with Arsenal, we've added $1 million in revenue in sales. We've got about $10 million out on the street, with more flowing through every week, which is fantastic. The leads have been incredibly consistent, and certainly a high quality that we're looking for. We have actually added a second market a few months ago because we've been so happy with the leads that were coming through, and we're potentially adding a third market here over the summer as well. So for us, it's been a fantastic success story, and we're looking forward to the next several years building out our business with Arsenal. Okay, good morning. I'm Richard Lees with CMM Roofing. I'm the president of the company, and I've been an Arsenal customer now for almost 7 months. Really through Google. We were using a competitor of yours that we weren't super thrilled with. So went to Google, looked for some alternative options, watched a bunch of videos on your company that's posted on your website, and yeah, reached out and had some great dialogue back and forth. And it wasn't immediate. It took about 6 months before we actually pulled the trigger, but certainly very happy we did. Yeah, I like the more consistent approach that you guys have. So the other company we use, very similar model, but we had a different rep almost every week or even daily sometimes, and there was just no consistency. I didn't feel that I had any input, because I wasn't speaking to the same person all the time. Whereas with you guys, we've had Adam, our rep, now the whole time, so yeah, he's part of our team. Everyone in our company knows who he is. He actually interacts directly with some of the guys out in the field as well. And then him and I speak almost daily or every other day. So I feel like I've got a lot of input. Can I kind of mold him almost into one of our own sort of sales guys. It's been going great. I mean, we had almost immediate impact. So we have two territories with Arsenal. The first one, I would say within 2 or 3 weeks, we had pretty consistent appointment flow, which has been great. I was able to again speak to Adam about it, really what our target audience is. We're in commercial roofing, so it's pretty broad space. We are focusing at the moment on the multifamily sector, and I was really able to direct him into that arena, and the results were pretty instant. So we had a lot of traction immediately, got a lot of paper out, closed that first deal, I think within 60 days. And then we've closed several more behind that, and there's millions we've got out that's still open, have not been awarded yet. We haven't lost it, we haven't won it, but we're certainly in the mix. And then we've now added a second territory, because it's a separate coast that we're building out, and that was fantastic. We got Adam on board into that territory about a month before our actual on the ground rep started. So when that guy started, he had basically a month's worth of appointments already set up for him, and it's just really backfilled from there. So it's been really good. From my perspective, I'm the owner, so I touch obviously every part of the company. But marketing is a huge part of it, and lead gen, sales is obviously is forefront, right? Without sales, there's no business. So I spend a great deal of my time on that. Working with Arsenal has been, from my perspective, been fantastic. You guys super professional, right from the onboarding. Like I said, Adam and I speak and text constantly. Like he'll literally be on a call and he'll text me, "Hey, what do you think?" Or this guy wants to see someone tomorrow morning, and it's 7 o'clock at night or whatever. And I said, "Yeah, just grab the appointment. We'll make it work." So it's been real, like super back and forth, which I like. Like I said, it's almost like Adam's part of our company, which has been really, really nice. I mean, you guys are obviously a long way away from us, and to kind of have that intuitiveness back and forth has been really good. So for us, it's been tremendous. We're really happy with it. Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, from my perspective, it's just the fact that I've got a rep that I can work with day in and day out. Um, I've asked Adam if I could read his introductory emails, and talk to him a little about what he says on the phone during cold calls. Obviously, everything's recorded, so I can go back and listen to them as well. Yeah, it's just a really, really well run professional process. There's a strategy. It's not haphazard. And, we as a company try to integrate that with our sales team as well. Like, make sure you have a plan, make sure you're organized. Um, and to have you guys integrate within our business pretty much seamlessly, I think that's been the number one strength. But it's just, from the very beginning, I mean, Coda, ordering the original list, right, that I had access to, I could take a look at, I could pull out accounts that maybe we're already calling on. Then I go into that list with Adam and say, okay, these are the categories we want to focus on. These are the actual territories. Maybe this is an area we're working in currently, so maybe focus on that area. Yeah, for like I said, it's just, for me, it's almost like Adam works for me. Even though he obviously works for Arsenal, but I think of him almost as one of our guys, which is great. No, I don't. A lot of pros and cons. I mean, I've done it a lot in my career, even before I was in this industry. But no, I think it's a very valuable tool. In roofing, door knocking's a big thing. I don't like it. I don't like people knocking on my door. So I don't have my sales guys do that. But cold outreach, it's either email or cold call. So I think the combination's great. And it's not going to work for every client in every situation, but yeah, I don't think it's dead at all. No. When I signed up with you guys, I had the option of picking from a few different people. So watch the videos. I had a couple other people in the company watch the videos. Selected Adam because he had a background very similar to my son. Went to the same kind of high school and university. So just seemed like he's a real level-headed guy, and super into his career, and wanting to do well for his clients. And yeah, I mean, I've been thrilled. I mean, I don't know, obviously, the other guys I didn't pick, but speaking from Adam's perspective, just a super great guy. Has the sales mindset that I like. He's not overly pushy. He's trying to provide value, doesn't want to, get under the skin of people he's calling or reaching out to. Just real methodical, and, talks about, getting prepared for his week on a Sunday night, which, to me is amazing, right? He's going out of his way to think about my business when he's home on the weekend, which that you don't find that in employees often, to have a third party like you guys have your employee thinking about my business on the weekend. It's a pretty cool thing. Yeah, so like I said earlier, we had almost instant traction in terms of appointments. And then there's always a process there, right? It sometimes it's a quick sell, sometimes it's slower. We've still got stuff in our pipeline that's from a year ago we're still trying to close. Some things just move slowly. So our first appointment was probably within 2 weeks, maybe sooner, maybe it was the first week. We had paper out, estimates out within 10 days. And then we probably closed that first job up. It's definitely within 60, maybe within 45, we closed that first job. And I believe we're up to 4 or 5 closings now, probably around $1 million in closed business. With maybe 6 or 7 million still out there, maybe more actually. Yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago. So might be up to 8 to 10 million on the street at the moment. A few big ones we didn't get that I actually felt confident we were going to get, but again, that's on us. That has nothing to do with, I say this to Adam all the time because he's always, wondering, hey, you closing? And I'm like, man, your job is to get us in the door. We then have to we've got to figure out how to build a relationship, provide a value, and close the transaction. Your job in this process is to simply find the opportunities, get us in the door, and that's what we've seen. That the second part's on us. So yeah, no, I pretty much instant satisfaction as far as getting leads from you guys. Yeah, so we're in commercial roofing. It's a very competitive industry in Florida. So we are based out of Sarasota, so it's the Tampa Bay, St. Pete area. It's a big market. Had a lot of storm activity in the last couple of years, so there's been a lot of roofing take place, and a lot of northern roofing companies have come down and set up shop. So it's super, super competitive. And the East Coast of Florida is too. But I mean, the East Coast of Florida is just a huge market. You know, the three counties down there, Palm Beach, Broward, and Dade, are 5 times the size of the market we're currently in. So, you know, we're babies out there. We basically put a guy on the street who has worked that region. It was always a goal of mine to build our business on both coasts. Um, you know, the fact that you guys had that territory open was a nice fit. That was certainly part of that decision making process. And that way, you know, getting you on board a month before the rep was on board, let let the leads get ahead of him a little bit. So yeah, that was really how that whole decision came about. Definitely knowing that you guys were available and we could get at them was a huge part of that decision. We've got one that's signing right now, so I think we're right about 1 million. And then and on the bids, we were at 8 million on the street. It's probably closer to 10. Yeah, the first transaction was about 600,000. It was a 3 building condo project, which we're just wrapping up. Yeah, I mean, great timing. You know, timing's everything, obviously. You know, they were going out to bid. I think when Adam called them, they allowed us to be one of the bidding companies. And then there's back and forth, there's questions, etc. Then usually they narrow it down to a couple of bidders, and then you know they ask for references, things along those lines. So that's kind of the pipeline of the process. Then the job closes, and we got to work on it within once permits were pulled. The permits take about 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, depending. And then we're pretty much run on the job. So we've been on that for about 6 weeks, maybe. Um, and yeah, we're just wrapping up now. So that's you know, pretty happy with that for sure. It's always exciting when you win work, right? You know, we try to do it every day. Doesn't always happen that way. Um, you know, for us, you know, I kind of treat closed transactions as like, you know, let's move on to the next one kind of thing. I'm not looking for Arsenal to close work for me. I'm more excited that you bring the opportunities to us. You know, that's what's hard to find. You know, if we bid $100 million of work for you guys that you guys bought us this year and closed none of it, that's not your problem. That's our problem. We're either bidding too high, our sales reps suck, you know, something's not right. Um, you know, the fact that I'm sitting here telling you we've got $10+ million in estimates out on work you've bought us. That's all I need to know. That you know, we will close enough work to make that ROI very, very good. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Closings on us. We have to do a good job making people comfortable enough to do business with us. You know, we've got a pretty multifaceted sales pipeline. So we don't just what you guys work on is what we call private commercial. So we also do residential, we also do general contractor work, and we bid public work. So you know, it's a combination of everything. The private commercial is the most difficult lead to acquire, the most costly. So that is our investment with you guys. And so in that regard, it's been fantastic. I mean, if I could get 10 million of quotes in every one of those pipelines, I'd be doing 30 million a year. So, you know, now we've got to start to perform better on the other ones. So, that's kind of where we are. But yeah, no, it's you our relationship with you will certainly allow us to hit our goals this year for sure. I do. Yeah. You know, like I said, we used one of your competitors, priced pretty similar. And we had some success there too. I'm not to and I'm not going to mention their name, obviously, but not to disparage them. It was just it wasn't as good of a fit as you guys have been for us. You know, the multi uh, rep approach just didn't seem to connect with people. They turned up a lot of lower end leads, so it was a lot more like low end repairs and stuff like that, which we cater to. We do that work. But you know, when you're getting $1,000 repair and you go through that sales process, you got to do a lot of those to get a return on that investment. Whereas when we're now quoting on $100,000 up to $1.5 million re-roof work, you don't have to land a lot of those to get a nice return. So, you know, that's why, you know, like I said earlier, I was able to really talk to Adam and say, hey, this is what we're good at. You know, I know what our competitors charge, and you know, I know where we are, so I know we can be competitive. Doesn't always mean you get the work, because we've actually lost some jobs recently when we were the low bid, which, it's a little annoying, but that's the business. There could be an existing relationship. There could be funny business. I mean, who the hell knows? But if you do enough of it, we know our numbers, and we run a pretty lean business. We're very good with numbers. And if Adam brings us enough opportunities, which he has, our return on investment will be fantastic. So yeah, I definitely think Arsenal's worth, at least in our experience, has been fantastic. So I have some folks that spend part of their time doing something similar, sending out cold emails, making cold calls. I try and do some of that during my week as well. Um, the idea of having someone that is only focused on that was appealing to me. Because even like my on the road reps, right? They're fighting traffic. They're trying to get from appointment to appointment. They're trying to make cold calls while they're driving. Like it's difficult. They're on the road 5 days a week, so they're not able to spend as much time as I would like just trying to develop that pipeline. So for me, it's that mix of, okay, I've got guys out there chasing business all day on the street because you got to be in front of people. This is not a remote business. I can't just call you and say, hey, I want to put your roof on. Here's my number. Where's the PO? It doesn't work that way. Not for us anyway. We're out there, shaking hands, dropping off donuts, and whatever it takes to build the relationship. That's what my reps are doing. So they don't have as much, and I can pull off the street 3 days a week and have them cold call and email. But I'd rather have them, as long as we've got enough leads coming in, I'd rather have them out there meeting these people, trying to get our name out there and build the relationship. So, for me, it was a pretty easy, as long as we get what I'm getting from you guys, it's an easy decision. Yeah. So we did flat rate. Simply, I looked at the numbers. Again, our transactions are pretty large. So, if we close $1 million roof on a revenue share, it's going to cost me a lot more than the flat rate. There's a risk, right? I mean, if we don't close any work, obviously I'm paying more money, but yeah, for me, it was a no-brainer. Again, we're pretty good with numbers. We know as long as we get the opportunities, we're going to close work. The fact that I was able to have a consistent sales rep that I can work with on a day-to-day basis. Because I mean, I've done cold calling sales since I was 21 years old. So I've been doing it for a long time. I know what I like. I know what I don't like. I don't know everything, but I know what was successful for me over the years, and the fact that I can work with the same guy day in and day out. We text, we call, whatever. Um, I it's almost I'm kind of training him to be exactly the way I would want to do it if I had an extra 10 hours a day. Um, so in that regard, you guys have been significantly better than what we had before. Yeah, I mean, Adam and I, like, it's pretty fluent. I mean, we might go 2 or 3 days and not talk, and then we'll talk 4 times in one day. It just depends what he's got coming across his desk. And he's great with asking me questions. I mean, he'll say, "Hey, is this something you want to go after?" Um, but yeah, my expectations is just, like I said, building out a professional pipeline for us. Be open to feedback, because we may pivot at some point. We may say, "Hey, multifamily, let's wean off that a little bit. Let's go more industrial, or more retail." I mean, there's so many different sectors, but no, as far as what I'm looking for is just that consistency, because I've done this long enough where I know it's peaks and valleys, right? You might have a week where you do everything right and nothing works out. And I've said this to Adam too, because he said to me, "Hey, sorry, I didn't get a lot going on this week," and I've done it myself, so I understand it. And then some days, Monday morning, you pick up a phone and you get like the greatest phone call you ever had, call number one for the week. So it's a numbers game, and the numbers don't always come back consistently. But if you do the same thing, you do it right, and you're willing to learn and improve over time, things pay off. So for me, it's not, "Hey, Adam, I need 4 appointments out of you every week." I know it doesn't work that way. And if he's forcing to get me 4, 3 of them probably crap. I'd rather he waits till they're good, gives us the appointment, even if it's 1 this week and then 2 next week and then 9 the following. That's fine. It doesn't have to be 4, 4. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I approach things with him, and that's my expectations of him, to continue to be professional like that. And that's the same way I push my own salespeople as well. Just keep doing the right thing. Over time, it'll work out. Not to toot your horn. For me, it's been pretty perfect. I mean, it's obviously, it's not cheap. Nothing's cheap. Nothing quality is cheap. I get pitched things every day from people. Marketing is constant. There's guys out there chasing business. Yeah, that's good. But as far as I'm concerned, you guys have checked the box exactly the way I wanted you to. And I, in terms of not being perfect, I mean, I talk to Adam all the time, like say, hey, can we do this? It may be very nuanced and very, very slight. But the fact that he and I just talk about that is really all I need. I don't need any massive change. I mean, you guys are doing exactly what I expect and what I think I'm paying you for. So we're pretty damn happy with that. Yeah, so we are looking at bringing on another guy in Central Florida, and I've spoken to Sam about adding a third territory. We're just not quite there yet. So in the next 3 or 4 months, I'd like to get that done. Like I said, now we're operating obviously on both coasts, East and West. We're going to continue to build out our East Coast operation by adding some more people, some operational people. I'll probably add a second sales rep out there soon because the territory is too big for one guy for sure. But yeah, the next step with you guys would certainly be, do we add a third territory in another part of the state? And that's coming next few months. We just need to get a few things buttoned up. Okay, so our goal this year was 15 million. We're on track right now for probably around 12 to 13. So, I think with a strong 8 months to close the year, we'll hit that 15 million. I mean, honestly, we could probably hit 20 with all the work we have quoted. We got to see what happens. I mean, for sure. I mean, like I said, you guys, your responsibility is to bring me the leads. Our responsibility is to close. So have we closed enough of them right now? No, but that's on us. If I'm sitting here 6 months from now and we've still got 10 or 12 million dollars in the pipeline from you guys, I'm happy as a pig in shit because we're going to start closing that work. Yeah, as long as they don't compete with me, yes. But yeah, no, you guys, like I said, you guys have been super professional. You haven't overpromised and underdelivered. I think quite the opposite. You've been really level and professional, and like I said, that's from my perspective in sales. That's what it's all about. You gotta show up every day, and nothing's free. You gotta bust your ass and deliver on what you tell your clients you're going to deliver. And we're your client, right? I think you've done that. You've delivered for me. So, keep doing that. We'll be talking for a long time. Have an idea of how much work you need to get a decent ROI. For us, it was a pretty easy math. And we're almost there for the year anyway. So, I can't speak for other industries, but yeah, if you're looking for professional outsource lead generation company, I think Arsenal is fantastic. No, listen, as far as I'm concerned, Adam has been a game changer for us. He's a guy that we rely on now and look to bring in some quality leads for us, and that my team then has to go out and execute and deliver on. And I know he's invested. He's constantly following up saying, how was that appointment, which is great. So I really feel like he's part of the team and the group around him. Obviously, I know you guys kind of a bullpen approach, which is great. I used to work in an environment like that. But yeah, he's just been fantastic and exceeded my expectations for sure. And we're only 6 or 7 months in, so really excited. I know he's excited because I feel it when I talk to him, and he's always telling me about things he's got in the hopper or getting ready. So we're really excited to see the next few months pan out and certainly the growth into the future as well.